Gwini Cor yn geidal sias toffir cyn ffod siarov. Mahan hyn is y sym y fan ceir y saifin is táhas ar y go ref sians yn felin yn kosher dieranach sia dy gofil y sysiediad. Tá sŵn am gwyl sy'n fydd gwyn sian o fas yn cwrt oras yn wtron na tiach agos na gordini agos tôn cliff a hort. With the Hilia Fuishin. First of all, may I say how welcome you all are, and I'm delighted, Sabine and I are absolutely delighted that you're able to join us for the final garden party in the 2016 series. I'm delighted to welcome my brother John and Maureen, his wife and members of his family and other relations of mine, but also there are people here from all over the country. People write to us, people send us decisions taken by their walking groups, their neighbourhood groups, or whatever. You're all very, very welcome. The garden party time of the year, there are 8 this year. We'll all together meet something like 4,000 people. About 20,000 people a year come through the house for different formal events. And then, of course, the house and our gardens are open every Saturday as well for members of the public. So all in all, we meet quite a few people, but the idea of the garden party is being themed in a particular way. It gives us an opportunity to say thank you to all of those who are working in communities, in voluntary groups, in fact delivering what is citizenship in a real republic. So we're absolutely delighted that you were able to be with us. And may I, before I say anything else as well, to all of our citizens abroad, our members of our soccer team and all those who are travelling to support them, how proud I am, and you are, how proud I am as President of the reputation that they have established as the friendliest and most wonderful supporters of the game of football travelling anywhere. I'm glad that Fran is here to represent the Football Association of Ireland, and also we had a great opportunity this year, I think, as well, of being able to congratulate those who support football from Northern Ireland as well as from the Republic, and to have 2 Irish teams. Very recently I visited Glentoran Football Club. I had in the past visited Windsor Park, and I visit many of the different venues around the country, and that's why I hope you didn't feel that you had this significant display of courage by the Irish team inflicted upon you on our 8th garden party. It was very, very important. Shasaliob, August Renishid Eocht, August Tom with Harvey Moral Acas, on Queen at the looking around and meeting so many of you, Sabina will have met many of you as you arrived, whether you're here as members of a family or a workplace or a profession or a friendship or an activity group, you're so welcome. We don't have much control over the weather, but we did our best, and I think that it's very important, I think, for the work that you do. Don't just say this, but at this particular time, we're at a very interesting time on our planet. Last year we took big decisions in relation to responding to climate change, in relation to having forms of development that don't damage the planet, but also that are inclusive, will eliminate global poverty. That's all about our interdependency. And it's very important for me is to be able to say as President how that sense of solidarity and community, interdependency, empathy with each other is something that is very, very strong in Ireland. And it is also, as I've said as well, as our young people and other supporters of all ages travel throughout Europe, it's very important it's recognised. And we are very proud Europeans with a very significant contribution, not only to make to Europe, but to make globally. That's why our defence forces, when they travel abroad, I know all around Ireland when I meet families, and how do they know so much about the Middle East? Because so many of their families have served building peace Again, there are missionaries from practically every family in Ireland at different times who told us about Africa, and there are all those who are working in the NGO sector. So therefore our vision is always about solidarity and about community and about standing for something in Ireland. These garden parties this year had inevitably an emphasis on the centenary of 1916. We also celebrated sustainable development. We had a day exclusively in the Irish language earlier this week. But it's about féinfas, agus an tábhail de tar buinte le sin, agus tá se le airtán an ard man tar is a taró ar fuidne tír ar fád. All during the commemoration, there's been an absolute rise in self-morale. And that is what's very, very, very important in Ireland. You are part of that, the community spirit that all of you do every day as activists, members of communities, coming together, stretching out and giving real meaning to that phrase I used when I returned the state visit, was called Kela Warren Nadini. And I think that is one of the greatest pleasures that Sabine and I have since I became President of Ireland, is having the opportunity of being able to recognise and pay tribute to all of this community work. There's something else that's very important in it as well, that we must really defend all over the world, and particularly in Europe. We can't all withdraw into our little boroughs and imagine that we can exist without each other. It's very important that we do what we do in the public area, that we do it publicly, that we're able to celebrate in public and to do so with dignity, and also that to continually remind ourselves that with solidarity with each other, there's nothing that can't be transformed, there's nothing that can't be reimagined, there's nothing that can't be restored, and there's nothing that can't be renewed. When I travel abroad, for example, in the west coast of the United States, where Mount Silicon Valley and whatever, people speak of the highly intelligent, well-educated, bright, innovative and creative people that they find in Ireland. And that's the future. And that's all about, if you like, being European in a way. It's very interesting to know that Ireland at the moment has the largest proportion of young people under 25 years of age who have third level education, and the largest number who are going on to postgraduate education. But we must at the same time give a lead in protecting the environment, give a lead in climate change, give a lead in sustainable development, and we're doing all of that. I think it's also very, very important that I want to say that there are a number of you here who are looking after people who are vulnerable, people maybe have special needs and so forth. I want to thank you for that. And I want to say to you as well that I don't for a second suggest that you should never be regarded as a substitute for responsible state funding that's needed for all of our citizens. Yours should always be an addition. But I hope that you want to thank you for what you do for the most vulnerable of all of our citizens. I think as well that this is the final one of this year's 2016 garden parties. Since 2008, I've had the opportunity of I've probably visited about 250 events outside of Oras and Uachtaráin. But I have seen people in villages doing something wonderful, responding to the threat of unemployment through the men's shed movement, for example, of which I'm patron, but also through others, turning derelict places into places of new shared activity and enjoyment. And equally, and it's something we must begin to realise, that creativity and celebration, you have been here listening to music, and you're listening to people who sing, and to people who make music. We had Father O'Reilly here during the week. None of this happens by accident. There's a long tradition in this country, and really arts and culture have been brought into the centre of life by many people through a great deal of voluntary effort, and it does so deserve the support of the state, because it is as important as any other infrastructural part of our life. I think now, a lot of people here from County Clare today, the home of And among other things, I think when a show on the Willie Clancy School, the Kilfenora Kelly Band, the Tulla Kelly Band, and more and much more than that, agus the Sulam Communiship, Tiana Voss and Fela Tolla Chirta Thorak, Torin Inish, than Blian Shot, Rev Dieran Bliana. I think that this sense as well, I think when I visited Letterkenny just recently, and there the County Towns Committee have far more influence with whoever arranges the weather, because it's able to be done out in the public all the time without ever a drop of rain. But I want to say that all of these, whether on an occasion like the County Towns Committee annual awards, the whole town turns out. You see people of all ages. Another great Irish advantage that we have, intergenerational relationships. People of all ages within the different generations able to speak to each other and respect each other. Young people who highly value, when I had the consultation with them on being young and Irish, they wanted a decent Ireland for people to grow old with dignity. Older people wanted an Ireland that would offer opportunities to people so that they, as many as possible, could exercise the choice to be with us. And those of us, and there's some here, who have gone abroad are coming back and coming back regularly. My hope that that is a circular kind of migration and that you will come back and contribute all, if you like, the richness of your experience into the future generations. I think this public world is very, very important. Think of the difference between what I have been speaking about celebration, being outgoing, being part of something in a country, but being part of something bigger. Like, as I said, the Europe that we want to create, a social Europe, in which every voice in Europe will be important of every age. A world that will be free of the threat of the results of climate change. 800 million people in extreme poverty, as I'm speaking, extreme hunger, 1.6 suffering from malnutrition. All of these are things that can be changed, will be changed, if we want to make it happen, and we can make it happen. So we must reject the politics of fear, the politics of rejection, the negativities, the coming together on the basis of grievance, and really speak about coming together on the basis of na féidirachtaí atá gan seorann, the endless possibilities of what we can do. Over 100 years ago, people were very brave, and they, against all the tide, they defeated an empire. And now, as the present state, Ireland is a proud member of all of these international institutions. But all of that, in a way, what's global has to be what's made local. And one of the reasons I'm very interested in asking people to make a special effort for the Irish language this year is to just think of what you will know yourself in all of your areas. Think of how many different names there is for a plant or a tree or a field or whatever. The local is important. The local is the location of the best instincts of the global as well. So this final Garden Party is a celebration of inclusion, a celebration of strong communities. Is so I want to congratulate all of you for your efforts. And I know that, as well as this, has come from Jacritic down. Whatever difficulties that are there, they all can be overcome. And the last thing I want to say, as I often think about it, so many people here, some people that I remember going to school with in County Clare or whatever. It's very, very important that we recognise that we must be in a real republic, where every child, woman, man is regarded as an important citizen of our republic, and where we, who sent so many people abroad, sent them over the seas, many never made it across the Atlantic, that we now offer the same hospitality, the same generosity, the same responsibility to those who come and make their lives among us. And I want to say thank you to those young teachers, parents, boards of management and all of others who have made it possible for me as President of Ireland to visit schools almost every week where you have 30 or 40 nationalities all learning together. That's the generous version of Ireland that we want to keep. Now we've had a great outing in Euro 16, and we have just postponed for a moment our Vengeance Thierry, our Revenge on Thierry. It will come, and it has, I think though, but we've had a moment of great literature. I want to say that to say this occasion, I want to thank our MC Marty Whelan. I want to thank the talented performers we've had: Ross O'Connor, Rory and Oxford Colo Harragon, Anya Drury, Fiona Grice and Katie Highland, the wonderful Armagh Pipers Club, the 14 Falls Road. You're so welcome. John Blick and the Rats, great sound. Minnie and the Illywhackers, and of course, which will get you all your hips moving again, are the Swing Cats. Now, I want to say that Sabine and I are looking forward to seeing some more of these performances in just a few minutes. But none of this would be possible. And on this, the final of 8 garden parties within a very short period of time, I want to thank the Áras an Uachtaráin staff, who not only... The staff here in Áras an Uachtaráin, they just don't simply provide all of what you have here. But as I've said, I get messages all the time, all through the year, for those other visits I mentioned, the 20,000, of people saying about the way that they are received here. And the staff here is to their great credit that they have this reputation, not just for culinary skill, but for hospitality and charm and friendship. I want to thank the Civil Defence who help us, our friends in John of God's who help us with the programmes. I also want to thank the Defence Forces, the Garda Síochána and our own Gaisca volunteers. But as well as that, how does it all get put together? During these 8, I have in fact been thanking Dee. Now Dee, where is he? Over there. Dee is not just the person who puts the perfect sound in all the different settings, but he actually is an impresario who puts it all together. So there you are. So, mar focus there is Cumacane Autas at Paroshtas or Honashif. However you came to be here, from whatever parish or from whatever locality, once again on behalf of Sabine and myself, thank you for being with us and thank you for sharing this. And may I wish you and all of those communities to which you will be returning peace, happiness and goodwill for many, many, many years to come. It's been such a great pleasure to see many people who are aging with such benevolence and dignity, which is even marvellous to see people, in fact, who are younger folk, who are representing the very best of Irish banners. Thank you very much indeed for being with us.